All right, well, welcome back to Ambition Alcove. So today it's going to be just me and Emma, and we're going to be talking about
if video or photo
we're going to be talking about
is better.
videography versus
or I
photography.
guess it's harder.
Specifically, or at least to start out specifically, we're going to talk about wedding video versus photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know one main difference so far between...
Am I turning yours up?
Yeah.
I thought I was number one.
I know one of the main differences between a wedding videographer and a wedding photographer for like right now is a lot of wedding photographers have Stanley Cups. So that's where I'm first starting off.
What?
Just wedding photographers, just all the photographers right now have Stanley Cups.
I don't really get the thing behind the Stanley Cups. It used to
Mine's
be
a smaller one.
It used to be Yeti, now Stanley.
Stanley has brought its game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like it though. It makes me feel like I drink more water, which is good because I need to drink
stay
more
hydrated.
water.
Well, as you can see, I dressed up today. I'm trying really hard. I'm wearing I actually wear this suit jacket whenever I'm filming weddings. So,
and as you can see today, I stayed comfy casual.
I'm wearing a suit jacket and a Columbia shirt underneath.
I like it because it kind of throws it's a little because you got the watch and jacket, and then the hat kind of throws it off a little.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never let them know your next move. Well, to start off this episode, we're going to go ahead and let Emma try some smelling salts.
No! What are you doing?
We have some smelling salts. Give it a whiff. Give it a whiff. Get it? All right, I hope you...
It only goes up one nostril. Why does it do that?
I hope you're ready now.
I am awake now. Woo!
Ready. Good way to start off. No, but we're going to start off. So, videography versus
photography.
I personally feel like video is a lot harder than photography.
I would say 99.9% agree. Just in general, let's exclude weddings. I feel like it's a lot more difficult because with photography, you could get a still shot out of taking a lot of photos, you could get that one shot. But for video, it's more if you don't get that shot in that moment, it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder to
There's a lot more room for error with video, I feel like. Because with photography, you're just snapping.
Yeah, you can snap as many photos as you want.
Well, for video, I have to capture an entire moment where you're freezing a moment in time.
Exactly.
And I have to capture that entire moment. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the moment doesn't last very long.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's what's hard about it. And then you have to accumulate all these moments.
That's true.
And then edit that into a video. Mm-hmm. And it has to have not a narrative, but it has to have a
storyline.
Yeah, it has to have a beginning, middle, and end.
And
whereas photography, I feel like you guys got it easy. But
I would say that the easiest part would be honestly probably the editing.
Why do you remind me of that kid right now?
What kid?
Who the little redhead in the striped shirt, where he's like, apparently apparently.
I don't know.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
All right. Well, your cadence in your voice just reminded me of that.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe we'll edit it in. But anyway, continue.
Okay. So what I was gonna say is, I actually think, in my opinion, probably my favorite part and probably the easiest for me is the editing, because I know exactly the style I like, and you could do it in the comfort.
What's your point?
I I don't know. I just kind of moved on.
You were saying something about editing. Like, what was your point?
Oh, my point was that editing out of the whole wedding journey is like the easiest part for me because...
True.
What?
I was just agreeing. I think so.
Yeah, just because, like, so I would say compared to, like, when you first get introduced to the couple and, like, your amazing bride and groom, sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking to actually, like, reach out to them and do phone calls and meet with them in person, and especially.
Yeah.
And then also another scary part is during the wedding day when you, like, my chin just, like, fully wet. I'm like... The smelling salts are getting to me. But I would say the other stressful part is just how stressful it was to schedule that meeting with them and meeting them in person, is having all of their special day. That's on you. That's in your hands. You're the one that's capturing this moment that's gonna last a lifetime for them and hopefully be passed on from generation to generation, you know, like when they're older, they're like showing their grandkids, like, this is when I got married, you know, and this is how it went.
That does make me think a little bit.
Did that make sense?
I get your point. But I was just actually thinking, now that you said that, I wonder what that looks like in the future, like reminiscing on wedding photos, because like. I'll tell you right now, first of all, I've never seen my mom's wedding photos, or like, I feel like people don't really look at those later in life. Well, okay, no, I take that back. I've seen my mom's second wedding.
I've seen
photos.
your mom's second wedding photos, but so the same, like with your mom's first wedding photos, I've never seen those, but that's the same like with my mom and dad's, because they kind of like that. I've only seen one of their wedding photos, and it's just like one little tiny one.
Oh, this is bad. We're talking people out of wedding photography.
I know, but that's no.
Believe me, you want wedding photography.
But that's the thing, though. You like, I feel like it's important to get a wedding photographer that maybe has prints or that can make a book, or it's just something that you can have on your table and keep on that bookshelf or take with you wherever you move, and just have it for that exact reason. You know.
So I was saying, I wonder what that's going to look like later, because a lot of photography right now is digital.
Right.
Especially, I mean, I wouldn't say especially wedding photography, because that's actually one of the forms of photography that typically is print.
Right.
But most of those photos are going to live online somewhere or on a hard drive.
Yeah.
And so it's really nostalgic, because I'm sure most people can relate to this, but like when you sit down and look through all these little photo albums of people when they're kids, like I wonder what that's going to be like when we have kids, or when our kids have kids. Like they're not going to get that same nostalgia from looking at like physical print photos.
Yeah.
So I think that is cool. I think that's important, that people get little photo books made, because I think it'd be cool to pass on that nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, because I enjoy that. I always like it.
Also,
you know,
Polaroids. I love
Polaroids
the
are
Polaroids.
cool. Well, something I learned about Polaroids the other day is they actually expire.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize
I was
that.
talking. My mom, she was showing us some photos, and she saw one, and she was showing it to me. She's like, "Oh, it's like this one's gonna go." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "It's dark. Apparently Polaroids get darker and darker and darker over time, and then eventually it's just gonna be black."
But
you know,
which
is the beauty of digital, because it never goes away.
But I found a Fujifilm. It's like the Evo Mini 2 or 1 or something like that.
Let me fact check myself on that. I wonder if I just.
But while we're talking about that, I think it's a great idea. So I actually bought one, and it's a half digital Polaroid camera that, of course, prints Polaroid. But that means you can actually save that digitally and store it, so maybe like in the future when those other ones run out. But that's also the thing, because Polaroid upgrades. So that
I don't know.
We'll
see.
Either.
Okay, so aside from this is Google. Aside from those specific rules, the standard for aside from those specific rules, the standard photography preservation practices apply. I don't know. I think this is like a snippet of a bigger post. It says keep the photos away from light, heat, and moisture. Most organizations maintain that Polaroids will fade in just as much as time as conventional photographs. Okay, I don't understand that, but I think the idea is they do fade. About 100 years in dark storage. So if they're in light and moisture, I guess they fade faster.
Maybe what they're saying is that's what
Let them
happens to
dry
every
for several
photo.
weeks. Keep from dirt. Wow. Oh my gosh, it's so much maintenance. But I mean, 100 years from now. But I don't know. That's
Well, that I mean,
but I
a
think
normal
about that.
photo
You
ages.
don't want to carry around your ancestors' photography. Imagine how many
Yeah.
books you'd have.
That's true.
But at the same
That's still
time,
cool, though.
well, that's the beauty of digital, though, I guess. But it's nice to like be able to reminisce on that nostalgic, like physical
Right.
paper, especially Polaroids, because those were literally taken from that day.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's cool. But
Yeah.
I guess you got like 50 to 100 years.
Yeah.
Some
Pretty long time.
people will live to see them fade.
Mm-hmm.
That is sad. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, I think back to circle back, I think video is harder, but I think I think overall video is harder, but I think there's certain aspects to photography that make photography difficult, because I would
Yeah.
never want to, well, I don't know if I want to say that, but photographers definitely have a lot to do pre-wedding day. Video is more strenuous day of and post.
I agree.
Event.
I would say video post is very strenuous.
Day of it's stressful.
Day of it is too.
Post it's stressful.
Because sometimes, like, during the day of, it's like even though you're with them the whole day and you're doing all that, and you look back at the footage too, like, in camera, like, you're just, like, checking it out. And it's, like, sometimes you're like, oh, my gosh, did I even get enough shots to create, like, this amount of minute, like, a 4-minute video or whatever. But then it takes a while in the editing process, too. Like, once you start piecing it together, though, then it, like, falls apart. I mean, doesn't fall apart.
Wait, hold on. I think I like...
Sorry, I kind of...
What falls apart?
Nothing falls apart. I meant it falls together.
Oh,
It pieces...
what?
No, it pieces together, and it just starts to create that story. Then it's like you start to gain more confidence from that point on in editing. But I would say it's a lot harder. The post is a lot harder.
Yeah, post production. Sorry, I was like...
Yeah, and the day of, because it's like sometimes you don't even know if you have the full shot.
Day of is tough. It's so funny. So I know I and some other videographers relate to this, but sometimes I'll like film something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hope this looks good in the end.
Right.
like after I film, I'm always like, I have no idea what this is gonna look like. It could be the worst thing I've ever filmed.
Right.
And then after it's done editing, I'm like, oh my gosh, editing is so amazing.
Yes.
Because editing can change
the whole thing.
It can take something that seems like it'll be bad and make it good.
Yeah, I think that's cool though, like to compare that, because like even on the day of the wedding, you can go through, like for photography side, you can go through and see the photos you've taken, and it's like, okay, like
that is something
nice.
It's something I actually hate. I don't
For you or for me?
There's something I hate when photographers do this. I don't like hate when photographers do this, but I think it's like I hate
Yes.
showing people video footage
Oh my gosh.
day of.
Yeah.
I'm
You
like,
can't
don't
do that.
Because like photographers will be like, they'll go over and they're like, oh, look at this, it's so good. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm like,
Right.
and then I feel like weird because I'm like, I'm like, I hope they don't want to see the raw footage,
Oh
because
my
raw
gosh.
footage is not
Remember?
like they're gonna think it's gonna suck.
Right, but remember that one time we were filming, I don't remember, it was somewhere south, I think, but I showed one of the brides a video, like a little snippet that I got from, she was on the balcony and the veil was flying in the wind, and I showed her and I was like, that's such a cool shot, and she's like, oh, this is so cool.
Photography or video?
It was video. And so when we got home, we put it in the editing software, and the shot was completely out of focus, and I didn't realize it until that moment. So it's like, I was like, well, maybe, I don't know. Like, she didn't realize it either, but, then it becomes kind of awkward, because it's like you put it in the video, but she doesn't see it in the video.
Yeah, that is also
So it's like, you got to be careful with that.
I do feel like there's a little bit of pressure sometimes because people will make a big deal to get like a certain shot.
Yeah.
And then like it doesn't end up in the video.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope they don't like ask me
where's
about that shot. Yeah, that's never happened though.
Yeah.
I don't think it will. But
I guess going back again to the other full circle, we could talk about how photography in the beginning stages is a little bit, I guess, more personable. I don't know what the word is. More in depth with the couple. Like, cause like what I normally do is send out like a welcome guide, and then I'll do like a questionnaire that's just like to get to know them, and then 30 days before I'll do like a final questionnaire. I like how you're talking
about this like I don't know, but
that's not for you. It's for them.
For people.
Yeah, but so that's what I normally do, and then for the video side, it's like you do one questionnaire where it talks about what your needs are for the video.
You know, video's pretty low key. Honestly, there's really not much to it. Like, I mean, there is a lot to it, like in the specifics on like equipment. Like, you have to know what you're doing, but in regards to like preparation, like unless they're doing like some really unique things, it's pretty low key. You know.
Yeah.
Like, it's not super high maintenance. It's high maintenance in how it's supposed to be done, but I wouldn't
also,
say it's like there's a lot of pre-production stuff that goes into it when it comes to events and weddings.
Right. Also before the wedding, I send all those questionnaires because I genuinely want to get to know them. I want to become familiar with them. And so it also helps book that engagement session with them, so then you can actually meet them in person and you become like a familiar face to them. So then like on their wedding day, it's like, you know, like it's not just two random people showing up.
Yeah, that's what I'll say.
It helps.
Yeah, I will say I really think it's nice, especially for photographers to have some kind of
relationship.
But
like
to have some kind of like get to know you moment, like an engagement session or like meet in person. Like I feel like that's really nice.
It just builds trust
even for
too.
video. Like it's not as common for video, I feel like.
Right.
But I do really like that because it like you guys both get to meet each other, feel each other's personalities out, and it makes it so that when we're actually filming, it's like we're two friends catching up. Not like that, but like we're like familiar.
Right. And it's
not like oh hey, what's up? You're in pajamas, nice to meet you.
Right. Yeah.
It's like sometimes I've been to weddings where like the first time I've ever met them, they're in
PJs.
They're like half dressed. Okay, that sounds weird. But they're like in PJs.
Yeah.
What the heck? Oh, sorry.
That's funny.
But they're like in their PJs, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Jake."
I would say it relieves a lot of stress though off of them and off of you too, because you're not just going into like that situation. I don't know. I guess like kind of to say like, because I don't know. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
What are you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say like you want to like make sure you know who the bride is, because sometimes it's awkward when you like if you like, yeah, because you don't want to go up and introduce yourself to somebody who's not the bride and thinking they are the bride.
What? I mean, yeah, just say that.
Well, I couldn't think of the right words, but that sounded more like normal.
Yeah. I
just didn't want to like contradict myself in what I was saying.
We don't do that.
Yeah, no, we don't do that. Yeah. But I've seen it happen.
We know what our brides look like.
Yeah, we do. But I've seen it happen before through like an Instagram reel.
We've been in situations though where, because we on occasion we'll do
some like
contractual work where we'll shoot a wedding on behalf of another company, and those are pretty interesting sometimes because we'll show up, have like no details.
There's a lot of surprises that come with that. Yeah,
because sometimes they don't always give you all that, so like you're figuring a lot of stuff out like day before day
There was literally one timeline where it was just it said when the ceremony was and when cake cutting was, and that's all we had to go off of for that day. And we still made it work, and everything went great.
I'd say we're pretty.
I think it's pretty cool.
We're pretty seasoned. We can really take on a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, we've done a lot of it. We've been through a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's good. I think overall, video is more difficult. Now, let's think. If you had to pick one for a wedding, video or photo,
I would say.
I feel like it's kind of an easy question, honestly. I feel like I would just go straight to photography, in my opinion. I mean, like, it sucks not having video. Like, a lot of people say they regret not having video.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people would choose photography, for sure. I mean, I definitely would choose photography, but I love video.
There is an argument to be made, though.
Right now.
There is an argument to be made, though, that video could kind of be the best of both worlds. Because if you film in a high shutter speed and, like, slow motion, like 60 frames or something like that, you can kind of screen capture.
Yeah, but it's
so you can get all those shots. Well, obviously, I don't want to be going to a wedding, filming it, and doing the part of a photographer and video, but only doing video. Like, obviously, that's not ideal.
I
guess I should just choose one or the other.
Yes,
no one's gonna want to do that.
No,
and I wouldn't want to do that. Don't make anybody do that. That's terrible.
Say I saw.
So I guess never mind.
I saw a video recently on Instagram, which you've probably seen and a lot of people have probably seen, where a girl ended up feeling nauseous on the airplane. She was a photographer and she left her bag under the seat and she went back to go get it, and it was stolen with the SD cards and all their photos were gone. The bride and groom are like, I read the comments, they seem to be like, they're super sweet and they are like forgiving, but they said they are so glad that they hired a videographer that day because they still were able to look back on that day and capture it without the guest, because they also made a reel where like the phone, like the guest, they used the guest phone pictures and they were like showing like how like crazy they looked. But yeah, I would say it's also good as like just in case, because stuff like that happens, you know, where like some like video or photo wise where you can lose footage. It's awful and I never want to go through that. But I would say
luckily that's never happened to us.
Yeah.
We back everything
we back up. We backed up like 4 times. And sometimes not even. I don't like to take the photos off the SD card until it's done, but that's hard though because we don't have a lot.
It hasn't saved me, but it saved somebody. It saved somebody else on a shoot. I was doing a shoot with someone, and they lost all the footage, and I wait the longest time possible to format my SD cards, and they only had the footage from my SD cards because I never formatted it.
Yeah.
So
it's tough.
Yeah. So it's saved. Not me, someone else, but it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Honestly, I think video is a really cool way to like. It's like I feel like it's a more not like practical way to reminisce on your wedding, but it's more. I guess you could say it's more like authentic.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like a ceremony edit or
sorry. It wasn't a part. It was like a little part there. Sorry. Don't add that in.
Anyway, I think it's a very authentic way, especially if you have like ceremony video and speeches, dances. If you have that stuff covered, I feel like it's a really cool, authentic way to kind of relive that moment because you can kind of like almost like imagine you're there experiencing it. I feel like, but with photography, you miss things, you know, like you miss certain little expressions and
you do sometimes, yeah.
You miss kind of like the aroma of the day, like you know, like the noises and the sounds and you know, like I don't know. I think photography is a must.
Yes.
Like I think everybody,
Yeah.
if they had to pick one, I feel like photography is it.
Way to go. Yeah.
And most of that's due to just like family photos because people love pictures and they want to print them out. My family loves that. And so I think photography is like necessary.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if your goal, and this is where I feel like someone would choose just video. I feel like if your goal is to just relive that day as authentically as you can while also maybe having like a highlight film, I think video is the way to go. If you're looking for that.
Yep.
You know.
Or
But
even like
yeah. Jinx. Jinx, you owe me McDonald's 10-piece nuggets.
10-piece nugget. Sweet and sour sauce. But I would say even with photography, I'm gonna go into like a different topic now.
Sure.
Almost like expressing the emotion in the photo is a lot harder to do than like you were saying with video.
Expressing the emotion.
Yes. So it's like, let's say, I mean, like, because you can always do like if you edit it, like you can like express emotion through like your editing and through your like prompting.
You're expressing your emotion.
No,
through
their
the photography?
emotions. So like you make sure to capture.
But they don't do the editing though, so I don't really know what you mean by that because they're not editing the photo. Or do you mean like because they chose your editing style, or what do you mean?
Well, almost like it's harder to capture the emotions, like the full emotion, because you can get a video of the mom crying while the bride's walking down the aisle. But for me, it's like I do one photo and then I have to move on.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard because you have like 4 different angles. And for me, I would only have like 2 because I have a second shooter and they're going to be, I don't know.
That is true though. There is a lot more in-depth coverage with video because most videographers have like a million cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
What are you gonna say?
Don't leave your gimbal in the middle of the aisle, please.
Who's done that?
There's been 2 people.
Who's done that?
I'm not saying
me.
No, not you. Other people.
Who leaves their gimbal in the middle of what?
Yeah, so there's people. There's videographers I've seen.
Sure, let's talk about that. What are some videographer icks?
Okay,
what's a videographer ick as a photographer? What's an ick?
I would say definitely leaving your gimbal in the aisle because during the ceremony, if I want to get a wide shot and you leave your gimbal in the aisle and go adjust your other tripod, now it's just this gimbal in the middle of the aisle. And,
what are you saying?
I mean, I can always edit it out, but it's just it annoys me so bad.
Gimbal is a word though where you can say it like that.
Yeah, I don't know it. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves. I would say my other one basically is just it's only when I work with you sometimes. We like to step on each other's toes sometimes, but
like literally?
Like literally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like but I've been trying to whenever I get the shot, I always want to make sure that the videographer also gets their shot too and what they need. So I'll just step out of the way and say, you can get whatever you get. I'll snap some little shots from behind too, and then we like to trade. Yeah. You know? And it's like I like a team. I like a great video and photo team that love to work together and that know like how to work and combine their posing and their impromptu and just like really creative shots. So I feel like
everybody can always go smoothly.
Yes.
You know what a photographer ick for me is as a videographer? An ick for photographers?
No, I don't want to know. I don't know.
An ick for me as a videographer against photographers, a photographer ick would be when they're like, oh yeah, get whatever shot you need. Yeah, I'm like, I tell them.
Oh no, I just said that.
Well, no, it's like where I'm telling them, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna, for ceremony, typically I'm in the middle. And and it's like, I let them know, I'm like, you know, I have 3 cameras going. It's okay if you like get in one of the shots, but like just try to like be aware.
Oh my
gosh. Yeah, no problem. And then they literally stand like smack dab right in the middle in front of me and in front of both cameras. And I'm like, okay.
That happened at one of the weddings
like the
I
biggest
hosted
deal.
at.
It's not the biggest deal, but it's like I thought you just told me like, oh yeah, I got it. And then you just like, but I would say that's the biggest ick for me is when I'm like, I tell them where I'm going to be and like, oh yeah, no, sure. Do your thing. And then they just like, like, I swear to you, some of the photographers I've worked with before are like freaking the Flash. Like they're nowhere to be found. They're nowhere. And then the second I'm like, oh, this is a good shot, they're like, they just in the frame. I'm like, where did you even come from?
That's funny.
So anyway, it's not like you're gonna say something.
Yes, that's why I try to always stand next to the gimbal person because I don't like. I want to make sure you get the shot that you need of hit like the groom watching the bride go down the aisle. You know, we can get that in the same area.
Sometimes I feel bad standing like sharing the middle of the aisle because I know they want to get a wide shot.
Yeah,
I know it. Like they want that. But like they can't get it because I have 2 tripods on the side and I'm in the middle.
But
like I can back up with them.
Yeah,
I can back up with them.
That is the way to get it.
Like,
is if you do it together.
Most of the time, my tripods are still kind of like on the sides.
Yeah, but that's easier than if there's like a random gimbal in the middle of the aisle.
I don't know who's doing that.
There's 2 people that have done it, and I'm not saying who.
Should stop. The reason that's annoying is because
it's just,
when it's in the middle of the aisle, it can't move.
Right.
Like if someone's standing there, it's like, hey, can we back up?
Yeah, and it's like, well, now we can't because
I will say a videographer ick that I have for other videographers that is annoying
juicy,
for me.
Yeah,
is if I swear if I see a videographer take a fat tripod and set that up right in the middle,
no, that
of
is
a
not
ceremony
allowed.
aisle,
I agree.
I'm like,
no.
I'm like, just how about you just don't? How about we just like. Don't do that.
I have seen people put their gimbal on the floor and then move their side tripod to the middle and then they pick up their gimbal and then we'll move it back. But then leave the tripod there. But then I feel like that's so hard for the videographer, especially if you're by yourself, because when they kiss and they're like official husband and wife now and they're walking down the aisle, you've got to run, grab your gimbal in your hand and a tripod and move the tripod out of the way, make sure that shot is still stable.
Grabbing multiple tripods at the same time is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do.
Yeah,
Not
and it's
really,
so stressful.
But it's just hard.
That's just it. Just adds extra stress that doesn't need to be there. I would say. Yeah. Well, those are our. I'm sure we have more icks, but I don't want this to be too negative. No, negative.
We'll move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess what's something that really turns you on about a.
About a what?
About a videographer. Maybe
they're
your husband.
You, yeah.
No, not like that. But something that where you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good.
When I see a lot of creativity, and sometimes even when the videographer takes a chance and does their own posing.
That is a good sign. Yeah,
yes,
I feel like most. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like most videographers kind of. It's so funny because we just talked about which is easier, video or photo. I still think video is much more difficult because we have to deal with so many different variables. Like, you know, we're playing with like the lighting. If the lighting changes, it messes up the shot. Whereas photography, you can kind of like just adjust and that's not obvious in your shot, whereas like if the sun is changing and the clouds, like we have to deal with that. We have to deal with audio. I was gonna mention that,
and banding with the shutter speed.
We'll get into that because they just came out with the Sony 893 III, which doesn't have banding anymore. But so, which that should never happen during a ceremony anyway. But we have to deal with
it's the neon, the whatever,
changing
the
lights, flickering, audio. There's just so many things.
There's a lot of extra parts.
Despite all that, I do feel like videographers kind of have a free ride a little bit. When it comes to portrait stuff.
Yes.
Because a lot of that is just, I feel like most of the time the videographer just kind of lets the photographer pose and do most of the stuff, and then we just kind of like piggyback off that.
Behind.
You know, and we're just kind of stealing your poses, I guess. But
it's still turns out
But yeah,
beautiful, though.
it is good. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, most of the time they're the same poses anyway.
Right. Yeah.
As-
But I do like to see some like super creative ones for video where it's like you can do it for photo and video, but like I don't know. I like a lot of movement, especially with like kind of our style for right now, because we also do a lot of handheld stuff too. And I think we're just starting to get more into that cinematic side in photography too.
Yeah.
Of course, everything is so growing.
You know, what's really funny is I'm really attracted to cinematic photography.
Me too. I love I'm actually starting to get more self-aware of I take a lot of what is it? Portrait, horizontal, not horizontal,
You take
vertical.
a lot of vertical
I
photos.
take a lot of vertical photos, and I realized that like with like the past couple of weddings that I was editing, and I was like I started
it's an easy way to compensate for not having a wide lens.
It really is.
Because you can capture a lot.
But you can get such beautiful shots with cinematic ones, especially in horizontal. It looks like frames in a movie. And so now, like, I'm more, like, self-aware of, like, I do need to start thinking of horizontal stuff, too, because you just don't want just vertical photos, you know? So I was just thinking about it, and I was like, I just need to get out of that mindset of safety, vertical.
I don't really see how that's necessarily like a safety, but...
Well, for me, it feels like a safety because it's, I don't know, it's just easier. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you why vertical is more attractive. It's because you can capture head to toe
That's true.
a lot easier vertically.
Yeah.
You know, you can capture a lot of the people vertically. Now, and it's also like a format that we're used to seeing a lot.
That's true.
Is that camera still recording?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure. I don't remember if I formatted the SD card.
It's got 2 hours and something left.
Oh, 2 hours?
This one had 2 hours before. This one has 40 minutes. This one has like an hour maybe now.
Oh, okay.
2?
Anyway.
I don't know.
What was I saying?
Vertical and why it's a safety net.
Oh, yeah. So I think with vertical, it's a form that we're used to seeing a lot. Like with Instagram and TikTok and the relatively new format of video being vertical. Like we're used to seeing that a lot. So like whenever you're taking photography, it's kind of like built into you, I guess, a little bit because we're consuming so much vertical stuff. So there's that aspect to it, but it's also super easy because I know as a videographer, like I've seen, especially in tight spaces where like it's a really tight space and the photographer's like, oh, I'll just spin my camera. And I'm like, I can't do that. I wish I could do that. I'm like in a tight space. I'm like, I've got very little options on how to capture this because it's so tight and I can't just go vertical. Sometimes I have the urge to, but I can't because that doesn't work.
Right.
But I think that, I think that's why you might be a little more prone to shooting vertical versus horizontally.
I definitely do want to shoot more horizontally though for that cinematic look because I really, really like it.
Yeah, when I say cinematic though, I'm talking more like
I mean like composition cinematically.
Yeah,
too.
I like the cinematic composition, but I'm also like the kind of contrasty, like dark, you know, Rembrandt lighting, which is really difficult to get during with natural light, but just like dramatic.
Right.
Dramatic.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
what I was going
I really like
for
dramatic
too.
photography.
I do too. Like when it looks like art. Like it looks like it's literally frames from a movie too.
Yeah.
I really, really like that.
I do too. Yeah, but okay, I think we'll go ahead and end here. I think
Whoa. Wait. What do you think? This is my last question for you. What do you think about blurry photos? Just because a lot of people,
some people don't like it.
Some people think it's an accident, but I like to call them intentional blurry photos. Your mom.
That's just my mom.
Oh, okay.
I remember the first time I showed my mom, what was it? There's a time where I showed my mom a photo and she didn't know what bokeh was.
Oh, I
And
remember
so
that.
I took a photo and I showed it to her and she's like, "Oh, it's cool, but you can't see the background." And I'm like, it's kind of the point. So I think that might be unique to just my mom.
Okay.
I don't think.
I don't know. Some people. I feel like
think,
some people would think it's non-intentional, but when
I don't know.
is.
I don't really, frankly, I honestly don't really care for blurry photos all that much.
Okay.
I don't really care for them just because it's a form of art. It's like kind of like an artistic style, but when you really kind of diagnose it a little bit, I feel like at the end of the day, it's just a blurry picture.
What if it's intentional though, where you put your shutter speed low and your aperture high, and it's you're going for it?
There's a difference between
Intentional blur, not
no. There's a difference between a blurry photo and a photo with blur.
Oh, well.
So like, if you're doing, for example, like reception stuff, and you do that cool effect where like the person's in focus, but the lights are a little streamy.
No.
And it's like kind of blurry.
Yeah, I love that.
That's cool, but the person's in focus. Now the photos where it's a low shutter speed and there's just a little blur, and those are the people. I don't know if I really care for that.
Okay.
Because because it's more of a piece of art than it is like a wedding photo. You know, because I think wedding video and photography is a combination of art, but also documenting.
Right, exactly.
You know, like you're combining history and art.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's supposed to be. Now, when you do the blurry photos, it's not history anymore. You're not documenting a moment.
It's blurred history.
It's just a blurry picture.
Yeah.
And you can't see the people.
Well,
and it's staged. It's staged to where it's like, hey, it's not even like a special moment. It's like a planned thing. And it's just a blurry picture.
Wow.
Like, it's cool. And I think you can do that on your own time.
Right.
And I'm not against it. Like, I think it's cool to have if people want it. But I just personally don't really care for it because I feel like it's kind of straying away from what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be history and art together, not just a piece of art where it's just it's just blurriness, you know. Like maybe like there's certain applications where I think it could work, but most like if it's like a blurry photo, like with just like little ghost people, you can't see them.
Like,
I don't care. And if it's like if the background's just like a tree and a blurry, like someone walked by and it's just a blur, it's like,
oh, I see.
It's like what is that, like their wedding's haunted.
I guess yeah.
I'm not like coming at anybody. I'm not coming at
me, bro.
I'm not coming at anybody,
bro.
I'm not coming at anybody, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like we're kind of missing the point a little bit once we get to that. It's cool to have.
Yes.
If you care.
I care.
I don't.
I care. I love intentional blurry photos. I
don't
love
know
them.
if you're talking about like photos with blur or just like blurry pictures. Okay.
Well, can I give you an example?
Here, come photograph my son's graduation. All the photos are blurry.
No.
Oh, but it's art. It's artistic. It's art. Trust me. It's art. It's cool.
No,
it's cool.
I would never.
I want to see my son's face.
I would never do that.
It's blurry.
I would never do that at a graduation with like their face in it. Maybe like if it was like they had like maybe I would if it was like with confetti or something. But what I meant by like intentional blur is like, let's say the bride and groom are in the middle. You have them kiss, right? They stay still. And you put it at a low shutter speed, and you
like
have
trying so hard to sell me on blurry pictures.
I don't mean like
take my money.
I don't mean like actual blur. I meant just like do you know what I mean?
No.
Like shutter drag.
That's what I've been talking about this whole time.
Okay. Well, I actually really like blurry photos, so I don't know if
All right. Well, if you guys don't hire us if you plan on having your wedding captured.
It's not all blurry photos, I promise. They should know. You guys, yeah.
We'll show you guys. We'll show you a couple examples.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
No, what was your point with the couple?
Oh, it was just saying you have the couple stand still and you have a low shutter and a high aperture, so it gets them in focus, and you have the bridesmaids and groomsmen walk in front of them and behind them, and it leaves that
cool.
drag.
But that's not a blurry picture. That's just a picture with blur.
I'm so confused because I was talking about stuff like that. Like you have the bride and groom and they like spin and and you have a low shutter speed, so it creates that little effect that has the shutter drag because it's like
I said before.
I don't mean like a full blur.
Like I said before, I think there's certain applications.
Yeah, I agree. I would never go to
I think there's certain applications.
Yeah.
But the example I gave, because I've seen this before, and people think they're being all artsy and trendy,
especially if they slap a black and white filter on it too. That black and white does not fix everything.
If I see, okay,
I'm intentional with my black and white photos.
Here's how we know we're not doing wedding photography anymore. Here's how we know. Here's how we know we're not actually documenting an event. When there's a blurry photo and you can't see the people, grain is turned up, and the colors are gone. That's not photography anymore.
What is that?
It's art. It's not. Well, it is photography, but it's not. It's not serving the purpose.
There's no way you could get that printed out though, because if the family photos, don't make them super artsy. Like you can make them pretty, but don't do like intentional blur.
Yeah, no one does that.
That's what I mean. But like what you were saying,
I guess technically, like portrait stuff is an opportunity for you to kind of be artistic.
Yeah, that's the only place that I would do that besides the reception with the light.
I still don't care for like a blurry photo.
Right, but that's because you're a videographer. I'm just kidding.
That's a. I don't see the point.
I still like blurry photos.
All right, that was a little.
Sorry, I got aggressive there.
Sound a little interesting there.
Yeah, what's going on, bro? Maybe I shouldn't have asked that question. I don't know. Something came out of you.
I was just telling you my opinion. I never really thought too much about it until just now.
You liked my you liked my other blurry photo I showed you the other day.
I just now realized I don't care about blurry pictures.
Well, you know, it's art.
I don't care.
Subjective.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what it is? Subjective
art?
Like
I said, it's when you're documenting an event,
you
still have to document an event.
Well, yes, of course. You can't have all blurry, artsy photos.
Yeah, obviously no one's gonna do that. But even with them sprinkled out, I just don't know if I care.
It adds more.
It
adds a little pizzazz.
Think about it. 20 years from now, someone's looking at their wedding photos. They're like, wow, look at this photo where we can't see ourselves. And there's just a freaking palm tree in the back.
You do that in video, though, too. You do that when...
What are you talking about?
Like when people are holding hands and you're like, let me get the ocean in the background. And they have blurry hands.
Okay, but with video...
That's the same thing.
No, it's not.
It's gotta be.
It's intentional. The reason
it's intentional blur for me, too.
No. It's intentional in how it's framed.
Oh,
because the idea is you're telling a story, and a part of that story is establishing a location.
Okay.
And so if
you don't have
when
to
you take a photo, I'm not crushing you. I'm just crushing anybody who doesn't know what they're doing. If somebody, I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
But if someone takes a photo and they make the couple blurry, and what's in the background is just a random tree, just a random tree.
No.
Now,
that's not what I mean. I would never do that.
If the purpose of that photo is not to establish the location and it's blurry,
you know, what if I want to establish that tree? Okay.
Stop. You're not.
And if it's a special tree,
don't mess with me right now. Don't. Stop what you're doing.
Are we almost done? This is getting awkward.
Yeah, let's end here.
No.
We're 51 minutes in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
You're so talkative tonight. It's 12:45
PM.
p.m. a.m.
I don't want people to think we don't sleep. Yeah, it's 12. I've been trying to film this podcast for a while now. All right, you caught me. Thanks, Emma. Here, stay up a couple extra hours.
Let's end off the episode with
I don't know if I want to smell these. I hate smelling this.
It's strong.
Woo!
Whoa.
Woo! Whoa! Oh my god! Oh, it's the AC's blowing it in my face. Oh, wow. See, the power of smelling salts. I hardly opened that. Well, I mean,
The battery's gonna die.
I full on opened it, but it was far away.
Wow, the batteries only last 50 minutes?
No, that just is how long it lasted with that one. But anyway, we're gonna end it here. Let us know if you like blurry pictures and not actually seeing your event documented.
It's called intentional blur.
It's not.
It's intentional blur.
Let us know your thoughts. And if you made it this far, thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you.
And we will catch you in the next one.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.